All right, congratulations. You got through some of the housekeeping that needed to get done so that we can jump into the main stuff, but now we're ready to start playing with the images. And we're going to start with cropping because that's a big deal. And the good news is it's right there, the very first tool that you're going to come across above the basics panel. All these are different tools you can use on your images to edit them, but the very first one is that one right there. That's a cropping tool. Crop and straighten tool, you could say. Another keyboard shortcut to get you there wherever you are. Let's say I'm in the grid mode and I like that, but I know I need to crop it, or even in the develop mode. Keyboard shortcut to get me right to the crop panel is R. R pops me right there, and it's already got the grid popped up and everything. A couple other quick keyboard tricks for you. H. Think about this. H also in Photoshop hides extra stuff. So if I don't like the grid, I hit H and that grid disappears. I can still come in here and crop and do all that, but I don't have the grid. Should I want the grid back, I just hit H again, and there it is. Now I don't have to be stuck with just, this is kind of the rule of thirds grid here, but it's equally spaced out. If I hit O, it changes to that sequence. I could go to that one, or a thinner rule of thirds, or even the Fibonacci spiral, the golden spiral. I can do, it's showing you the different ratios, 2x3, 5x7, 4x5, or I could go to a straight grid or back to this one. And so it's good, just hitting O toggles through the overlay of what you might want to use when you're working on your cropping. That's not all that you have here. If we go over to the panel, notice as soon as, whenever you hit a tool, it drops an extra panel down that you've got extra stuff you can work with. First of all, you can decide what aspect ratio, so you can stick with the original as it's shot, or 1x1. Let's hit it actually, 1x1, and now it's going to be a perfect square that I can drag over and do it like that. I could say I could spin it, and you notice it keeps it inside. It spins the actual image and keeps you seeing exactly what you're going to see when you crop it. And then once you hit return, it goes ahead and crops it for you. Now remember, I said this is non-destructive, so as soon as I decide I don't like that crop, I hit R and it's right back up there, and look, all the pixels are still there, everything's still in place, and all I've got to do is hit reset and I go back to the original. Now I can sit here and try to work the angle and to straighten all this out, but if I hit reset and I just simply hit auto to straighten it out, it finds a horizon line for me. It's using the upright technology that you've seen in Photoshop right here in the cropping, so that it finds the upright and straightens out your image there for you just by hitting the auto. Now you can also lock this down so that it keeps that aspect ratio no matter what's going on. It's going to keep that same ratio. And here's another little trick for you. Let's say I'm working on this and I decide I want it cropped landscape. And then I said, well, what would it look like as a portrait? If I just hit X, it flips it from horizontal to vertical. And if I hit X again, it goes right back to the other one. So it's a great shortcut to see, well, maybe let's try it that way. And maybe I like that a little bit better. So a couple quick things to get you moving around cropping and understanding how it works. You can come in here and notice that since I've got it locked over here, even if I grab a corner, it's always going to keep that same ratio for me. Here's a thing that you need to know about cropping, is that nothing is baked into this, any of the cropping, even though you're setting all this stuff, until you export it. Let's say you're sending it off to be printed or web or something like that. That's when the crop gets baked in, when it's turned into a JPEG or something like that. But as long as it's in Lightroom, it's going to keep that crop sitting on top, and it's never going to be baked in. So that's why you will see in here, let's unlock it. That's why you'll see in here, for instance, 4x5 by 8x10. It's actually the same ratio when you do the math, and so there's nothing, it doesn't resize it or do any of this until you go to the print module or the book module or something like that. So don't let that throw you off if you're like, well, why does it have 4x5 and 8x10? Because it's just dealing with ratios right here. It doesn't actually resize the pixels or anything like that until you're ready to export it. So that's very handy. So you can set up your ratios, do all that, and not worry about it until you're ready to print. Very handy, very easy. It's pretty straightforward to get in here and play. And remember, if you can always hit done when you're done, but even if you decide you don't like that crop at the end, hit reset and you're back to the beginning. So very simple, very easy. Hopefully it'll be a great thing for you to be able to do to get in there and crop away.